Yes, YouTube, what are you telling me? It's Imhotep, and I'm here again with another video. Today I just wanted to talk about my Christian experience since I'm making the decision to study abroad, what kind of challenges it faced me with, because I've just come back from church. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, which means that we believe that the seventh day is the Saturday, not the Sunday, so we go to church on the Saturday, that's pretty much it. And yeah, there's more to it, but I'm not gonna get into that right now. We're just gonna talk about what I came to talk about, which was my Christian experience. So, I've been living in this country for coming on 3 years now, and I managed to find a church in my town, which was the same SDA as what I was used to back home. However, a lot of things were different. One of them being that the population of those SDAs here compared to in the UK, for example, is a lot more aged, and there's a lot less of us. So it was kind of strange when I went to church and I would notice there would only be about maybe 10 to 15, maybe on a good day 20 of us maximum per week. So I found it a bit interesting, but that was one of the things that was different. And then another thing was that the language, because I'm here in Denmark, and of course the language is Danish. So in the services would be in Danish, and the way I used to try to get around that would be to try to ask a member of the church who's comfortable enough to try to translate from the preachers speaking Danish into English, and it was not really it wasn't terrible, but because the preacher was just kind of going like they weren't thinking about anybody else speaking another language, it was kind of usually hard for them to keep up. So we would only get about maybe 2 to 3 words out of every 10 words that the preacher spoke, and it became very kind of it became very demotivating to continue going, because I kept thinking to myself, well, what am I getting out of being here? I don't understand anything. And I just wanted to take a brief moment to talk about how, when you take a moment to step out, when you take the chance to step out in faith and try to do something for God, like usually He does reward, and it's very uncomfortable to do that initially, because you have to come out of your comfort zone. Maybe you have to say something where you don't feel comfortable, where you have a voice to say, but sometimes you just have to just do it anyway, and God will reward you for it. So one day, it had been over a year since I got baptized here at this church, and there was still nothing being translated directly into English. There was just us having to huddle around the one member of the church who was willing to try. And one day after a service, it was like a prayer meeting, and we were talking about improving and outreach, and how much we love God and all these kind of things. And I just said to myself, I was thinking to myself, if we're not including everyone by having this language barrier, how can we be talking about love of God and Jesus and being Christian and all these kind of things? It just didn't feel right, and I didn't feel comfortable at the time bringing people to the church because that I knew here from uni, because majority of us don't speak Danish yet, we're still learning, and it's like if I did bring someone, they wouldn't understand anything and they would get nothing out of the day anyway. So after that service that day, I said to my friend who usually translates for us, I asked him, would you come up with me and I speak in English and you translate into Danish, so that I feel like I need to say something? And he said, yeah, sure. So I went up and I took a step out in faith, and I called out the church. I said, listen guys, I love you, but we're not doing enough right now. Like, we're talking about Jesus, we're talking about how we love people, we're talking about how we love God, how we want to show God's love to people and all this kind of stuff. But when we come here, we the international students come to this church, we're not getting that isn't being shown, because there isn't any kind of English programs ever being organized for us. And it's like it's not really reflecting the love of God that we're supposed to be saying that we have. And it's like some of us don't even know each other's names, some of us don't even talk to each other, because back in those times we used to just kind of, the Danish people would talk to the Danish people and the international people would talk to the international people, and that was about it. At lunch tables there would be 2 separate tables, one for where the Danish people are sitting and speaking Danish, and one where the very few international people are speaking English. So I mentioned all of this, and I was like, you know what guys, we need to bring it together. Like, it's not the end, but we need to do better. We're talking about, this is a church and there's not a lot of us here, so there's no excuse for us to not be close knit, actually know each other, actually speak to each other, actually be friendly with each other, all these kind of things. And all while I was saying this, my friend was translating it into Danish to the crowd, so that there was about 20 of us that day, so everyone was listening and stuff, and I spoke out in faith about things that I wanted to improve about my experience, because there was a time when I stopped going to church for a long time, and I got really demotivated, and I really didn't feel welcome, and I just thought, what's the point? But then I realized that, you know, sometimes in life, if your ship is sinking, you can't just sit there and complain that your ship is sinking. You have to get the wood, get the hammer, get the nails, and start trying to fix it, you know, at the very least. So I just figured I'll take my responsibility and try to do my part and see what I can do to encourage some kind of positive change here, because at the end of the day, I'm not the only international person here, it's also going to benefit the others. So basically the result of that was astounding. Like, people came up to me afterwards, Danish people, and they were attempting to use the little English that they did know, and I really appreciated it. Some of them I had never heard speak before, like, it was amazing, and they were saying to me, you know what, I really appreciate that you said that, because, you know, we've been thinking similar things. You know, we always have Sabbath school in the morning in Danish, and you guys just sit in the corner trying to do something, and then we have the sermons, and it's like we just feel kind of bad, but like, we really think it's really, thank you for saying that. And people from the international group were as well commending me for doing it, and it's like, I didn't expect to get any kind of massive feedback like that. It was really humbling. And then later that same day, because we were going to go for lunch, they called me into the room because I was busy doing something. I went into the room, and I didn't know whether to like cry or like hit something. I was just really excited and happy at the same time, because I walked into the room and they moved all those tables. Remember how I said the tables were one for the Danish people and one for the English people, or for the international people, English speaking people? They moved them all together, so it was like one big table. It was really like a big thing, and then it kind of inspired this kind of trying to get to break the barriers. So like some of the Danes were trying to speak a little bit of English, and some of us were trying to speak a bit more Danish. Me particularly, I said to them as well when I was calling them out, I was saying, I put my hands up. I haven't been putting in the effort to try to push myself out of my comfort zone and get to know you guys more, but there's definitely a divide between us. And, you know, afterwards, this was my taking my part to, you know, get involved, you know, because it's like, you can't be upset when people are not including you if you're not making an effort to include yourself. You know, you have to put yourself out there. So I started to do that, and, you know, since then things were amazing, and it was great. And this is the first week for a while that I've had a chance to go to church, because I've been so tired every week from studying for exams. And I went today, and we had a preacher who came up, an old man, a really nice kind man named Bent, and he was speaking in Danish, but he had a friend who came, and he was translating into English, and he was pausing so that his friend could translate so that we could listen. It was like, I couldn't stop smiling the whole thing, because I've been here for like 2 or 3 years, and before then it was all like, everything was just Danish. I wasn't really understanding anything. I kind of switched off during sermons. I was trying to continue reading the Sabbath school lesson, and it wasn't really so great, but it's like, it just feels so good to have that extra piece of normality. Like, it was amazing, like that sense of inclusion. Like, it was really nice. So I just felt like I had to talk about it today, because it just felt too good to just be able to sit and listen and actually understand what's going on. And it really just felt great, like, yeah. So this was just a really quick one. I just wanted to talk a little bit about today, because I just felt pressed by the Holy Spirit. I had to get this out, like, it was too good. I've got a lot of other videos coming soon. I did mention on my Instagram, I'll put a link down below, that I went to a Christmas concert not too long ago, before I went home for Christmas. And I do have a lot of footage from that, with a lot of like hymns sung by like a Danish choir. I can't remember exactly the name, but I'll find it and come back by then. And I am going to start editing that after my exam and uploading it all soon, one by one, because there's a lot of songs, and they're really nice, some of them. So like, yeah, I'll upload that soon. But yeah, just wanted to get this off my chest, because I just feel too blessed. I hope you guys have a good day, have a happy Sabbath, and peace and love.